So comedian Samantha Bee is in a little bit of trouble. This, of course, follows the outrage over Roseanne calling a former Obama official a racial slur. And since then, conservatives have been targeting liberal comedians in order to try to strike back. Now, this latest example, as I said, involves Samantha Bee. She said something a little bit crass. I'll get to what she said later on, but well, let me go through a little bit of a timeline first. So Roseanne, of course, tweets out that Valerie Jarrett is like the Muslim Brotherhood and the Planet of the Apes having a baby. Now that, of course, Valerie Jarrett is African American, and that slur, calling somebody an ape, is something that has been traditionally viewed as quite racist, and actually goes all the way back to slavery. Where white slave owners would constantly dehumanize and compare African American slaves to apes. So it's fairly clear why this is considered a nasty racial slur. Okay, so that's what Roseanne did. Roseanne apologized. Then she said, "Oh, I was on Ambien, and I was, racist tweeting on Ambien because that's a side effect apparently of taking that drug." No, it actually isn't. Racism is racism. So ABC's like, okay, well, look, we're going to can Roseanne. That's it. We're done. So Republicans, conservatives, of course, freaked out. Except, strangely enough, Tomi Lahren. Now, Tammy, she's like, you know what? It was actually really bad. Wow. That's strange. Tammy, wow. So... she actually said something every once in a while. She portrays her liberalness, right? And puts out a little bit of hint that she is actually not an actual conservative, but is basically lying her ass off, and says something sensible. So that's Tommy. Anyway, so after that whole thing happened, that debacle, conservatives, their hair is on fire, and so they decided to target Bill Maher. Oh, Bill Maher, how dare you compare Donald Trump to an orangutan? We should get rid of Bill Maher. Oh, that'll really trigger the libs now. Oh, you want to go after Bill Maher? Have at it, Hoss. I don't give a shit. Bill Maher a liberal? Really? I thought Bill Maher was more of a libertarian that really hates Muslims. Have at it. Go after him. What do we care? And now, of course, they've decided to come for Samantha Bee. Why? Again, she came after Ivanka Trump. Now, she does a Politico show where she goes after people in the administration. And yes, sometimes she says crass things about them. Now, however, this latest thing is so completely unforgivable. Well, what did she say? She called the first daughter of Ivanka Trump the C word. The C word! Oh my God. No. Now, let me give you some context. So she was talking about Ivanka Trump's inaction. And now Ivanka Trump is supposed to be the liberal in the White House, the one that's supposed to temper Donald Trump away from his worst impulses. Well, based on the news where ICE agents are literally ripping families apart, ripping babies away from their mothers, that's not exactly tempered. That's not a tempered immigration response. That's full-on fascist. Oh, we're going to rip those families apart? Oh, okay, that's what we're going to do. Well, that's what fascists do, right? So, look, Ivanka is supposed to be that moderating influence. So Samantha Bee says, why aren't you a moderating influence? In fact, she said, tearing children away from their parents is so evil. It's the inciting incident in almost every movie we've ever cared about. Ivanka Trump, who works at the White House, chose to post the second most oblivious tweet we've seen this week. And what did she tweet? Well, she tweeted out a picture with her and her kid. Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, Samantha Bee obviously had a problem with the timing, right? Especially since ICE agents are ripping families apart, ripping people kids away from them. So she says, Ivanka, that's a beautiful photo of you and your child. But let me say, One mother to another, do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless C word. Right? She added, he listens to you. Put something on tight and low cut and tell your father to effing stop it. Tell him it was an Obama thing and see how it goes. Now, when you put it in context, she's basically trying to accentuate the point of, hey, your father is doing something incredibly evil and terrible in ripping these families apart with their immigration policies. Why don't you do something? You are feckless. You are not having any effect on your father. I thought you were supposed to moderate. When you put it in context, that actually makes sense, right? And yes, that was used to accentuate her point. Now, is it crass? Of course. Yes, it is crass. And that's really not something that is unheard of on her show. But of course, the White House immediately lit itself on fire over this. And they sent out Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Now, she called this, quote, vile and vicious. Oh, my God, vile and vicious. So vile, so vicious. Okay. Now, she said the collective silence by the left and its media allies is appalling. Her disgusting comments and show are not fit for broadcast. And executives at Time Warner and TBS must demonstrate that such explicit profanity about female members of this administration will not be condoned on its network. Now, look, as I said before, are the comments disgusting? Look, I wouldn't say that in my home. In fact, we kind of have a ban on it on our home. We don't say that word because it is pretty vile. It is a disgusting word. Yes, but that's a personal preference. Now, look, if TBS says, okay, well, we want to drop that show because you use that word, well, that's TBS's decision, right? But the White House has made it more complicated. See, because they had to weigh in. And when they weigh in, calling for a show to be taken off the air, which I believe that's what Sarah Sanders was calling for, then it might actually become a First Amendment issue. Because now you have the government weighing in and saying they should get that off the air. So now it's a little bit more complicated. But anyway, now, again, they want to make this a comparison between what Roseanne had said and what Samantha Bee had said. And saying, oh, they're the same thing. They're both vile and crass. They're both terrible, right? Well, okay, well, here's the thing. They're not the same. As I explained before, the context of calling someone an ape and repeatedly calling African American women or people of color monkeys or comparing them to monkeys has a very long racist history. That is why we don't do that. The C word, again, not great, right? Not a great thing to call somebody. But that's why people call other people that word, because it's not great. Now, the thing about this is they want to call out the left for hypocrisy, right? Well, here's the thing. Sanders' response to this is actually much, much stronger than what happened with the Roseanne tweets, right? Now, asked about the former ABC star's remarks at Wednesday's White House briefing, Sanders said neither Trump nor the White House were defending them. Of course, because it's indefensible. Even Roseanne said, that is indefensible, don't defend me, right? Now, Sarah Huckabee Sanders just said, they were inappropriate. By the way, as inappropriate as this is, why isn't the media apologizing to Donald Trump? Wait. How did you turn this from Roseanne calling somebody a racial slur, as well as all the terrible things that she's tweeted out, conspiracy theories, like Pizzagate, QN, and all that stuff. How did you turn that around to try to demand an apology from the media to you, to Donald Trump? Now, she said the president is pointing to the hypocrisy in the media, saying the most horrible things about this president, and nobody addresses it. Fascinating. Now, here's the thing. Well, if the media has to apologize to Donald Trump for saying things that are mostly true about him lying. And again, there are instances where it's not true, and instances, for example, the New York Times printing a story and then pulling a retraction. Okay, well, the retraction is kind of the apology in a way. Okay, so if the media has to do that, then why doesn't Fox News have to go back and apologize for everything they said about President Obama being a secret Muslim? Why doesn't Donald Trump have to apologize for lying about President Obama's birth certificate? Why doesn't he have to go back and do that? That seems to be a little bit of a doubled standard, right? A little weird. Just a little weird. I mean, again, where do we draw the line? Fox News says terrible things about Obama and Hillary Clinton. A lot of them untrue. Some of them are true. And the media, of course, says terrible things about Trump. However, most of those actually do happen to be true. And the ones that are not true are immediately retracted. Does Fox News retract stories? It's pretty rare. In fact, I think the only story that I remember them pulling is the one about Seth Rich. And that, of course, is on request of Seth Rich's family, who kept telling Hannity, stop rubbing it in our faces. He's dead. Stop with the conspiracy. So, look, as I said, could TBS pull Bee's show? Yes, that's their decision, right? You know what? Pulling Roseanne was ABC's decision. So, I mean, look, when it comes to these are private corporations. They can do whatever they want, right? So, look, if you're a conservative and you're mad at ABC, you need to remember that, well, you're in favor of a free market, right? So the free market decided, well, that what Roseanne said was completely unacceptable. And so, hey, liberals, if they pull Samantha Bee's show, well, then that's because the free market decided that it was unacceptable. I thought you guys believed in the free market. I thought you loved the free market. I mean, you don't like it? Go to Venezuela, snowflake. But look, here's the thing. I don't really care too much, right? Both sides say terrible things about each other, right? Now, in the case of Donald Trump, most of it is true, unfortunately. But look, if I go and call Donald Trump a fucking idiot ship-gibbon orange orangutan ass face, well, that's not true. That's an opinion. That is my opinion. It's not necessarily true. And you could go and say, hey, Jeff, that is fucking rude. You goddamn right it's rude. Oh, you want to pull my advertisers? I don't have any. I don't have any advertisers. I'm fully funded by you guys. Have at it, Hoss. Whatever. Don't really care. But that's just me. But look, as I said before, this is not the same thing. And I've explained why this isn't the same thing. Now, calling somebody the C word doesn't exactly have the same context, especially when it's a woman doing it, right? So, in this case, it was a woman calling another woman that word. So, I mean, is it sexist? I guess you could probably make an argument, maybe, that might be halfway decent. I don't know. I don't really want to get into it. It just seems like a stupid argument anyway. But let me tell you what the real reason for this outrage is. It's for Roseanne. It's for ABC canceling Roseanne. It's partisan revenge against the libs. And guess what? In a way, it actually has worked. Earlier today, Bee actually apologized. She said, I would like to sincerely apologize to Ivanka Trump and to my viewers for using an expletive on my show to describe her last night. It was inappropriate and inexcusable. I crossed the line and I deeply regret it. No, never apologize. Look, the number one rule here, don't apologize to the right. You know why? It's because they're going to use it against you, no matter what. No apology is good enough for the right wing. Look, again, it was crass. Absolutely. But should she have to apologize for it? No. Stick to your guns if you actually believe it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.